For my first attempt at a Pecha Kucha, I thought it was best to record it. A Pecha Kucha is a presentation with 20 slides, each 20 seconds long. The word Pecha Kucha is also pronounced Pecha and is a Japanese word for chit-chat. With that being said, I'll make this chit-chat quick. Let's begin. To share my final project, I would like to tell you a story about one busy graduate student as she worked her way through a literature review. This is a photo from a friend of a graduate school Barbie. First, we'll review the process the Barbie went through, and second, we will share some of her findings. Hopefully you will learn something new about my topic and literature reviews. Well, here goes nothing. Once upon a time, several weeks ago, a curious graduate student sat in her first assessment in higher education class and listened as the instructor explained the syllabus. Dr. Ozaki went over the university policies and the weekly schedule. She also shared a schedule of assignments. The final project would be due December 10th. That seems so far away. Before long, it was several weeks into the semester, and the student was required to share a proposal regarding her final project. The weeks had slipped by, and not one idea had magically implanted itself in her brain. She met with her advisor and came to the conclusion that a literature review would be the most appropriate and effective way to meet the final project expectations. With her final plan in place, the student collected articles related to her topic, pre-service teacher assessment, reading instruction in particular. Her research questions guided her search. In what ways are pre-service teachers assessed, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of each assessment? She began her search using the Primo search engine on UND's website. After the articles were printed and stapled, the student began the process of analysis by reading the article's abstracts and then deciding if the article was quantitative, qualitative, or both. The articles were then sorted into their respective piles of research methods. With the future in qualitative research, grad school Barbie began to read through the articles, searching for meaning. Once all articles were labeled, the abundance of articles were categorized by common themes. It quickly became clear to the graduate student that lots of articles related to the research question, and a few articles were not prevalent to the current focus of the literature review. The articles were then resorted into applicable and inapplicable ideas. With focused research questions and plenty of articles, the real analysis began. Grad school Barbie, now with more gray hair and darker circles under her eyes, uncovered several forms of pre-service teacher assessment. The articles were noted for frequency of assessment type, and the literature review had its skeleton or outline. It is important to base one's research on a conceptual or theoretical framework. This practice gives the ideas and concepts a foundation to grow on. Speaking of growing and building, constructivism was used as a theoretical framework of this particular research project. As the cartoon depicts, we need to meet students where they are and build on or construct their knowledge. The focus of this literature review was assessment in teacher education. Again, a resort of the articles was necessary. Grad school Barbie was able to collect many ideas about assessment. Each type of assessment helps teacher education programs see how their graduates measure up to professional teaching standards and workforce expectations. Teacher preparation programs require assessment tools to evaluate program effectiveness. Standardized tests, surveys, lesson plans, observation reports, projects, papers, and interviews were all listed as types of assessments. Among the multitude of examples, program evaluation, performance-based assessments, and off-campus field experiences were most prominent. Let's take a quick look at what the literature said about program evaluation. The purpose of program evaluation in teacher education is to hold programs accountable for the effectiveness of their teacher education candidates. InTask, NCATE, and CAPE are all examples of professional organizations that deal with program evaluation. Next, let's examine the different types of performance-based assessments listed in the literature. As with all assessments, there are advantages and disadvantages. An advantage of performance-based assessments is that candidates are assessed on how well they can apply their knowledge into practice. Disadvantages are they are time-consuming and can range in depth and breadth across disciplines. The performance-based assessments were divided into three categories: portfolios, reflections, and case studies. Portfolios are a collection of student work showcasing a candidate's knowledge and skills. Reflections are used to help teacher candidates think about the process of teaching, whereas case studies require a critical analysis of a teaching incident. Finally, let's look at how off-campus field experiences are assessed. No, I don't mean a field of wheat. I mean a field, as in getting teachers out into classrooms. In the field, teacher candidates complete surveys, participate in observations, or observe themselves, and their dispositions are also assessed to determine if they have the characteristics necessary to become an effective educator. Any assessment technique or method is bound to have barriers upon implementation. The most prominent barrier found in the literature is a lack of funding. An additional barrier teacher education programs face when conducting research on the impact of their programs is that research is limited to the institution in which it was conducted, making it specific and unrepresentative of the general population. To conclude this Pecha Kucha, I'd like to dedicate 2 slides to conclusions. Grad School Barbie concludes that teacher education programs need to provide authentic experiences for their candidates, which goes hand in hand with authentic assessments. This is made difficult by the criteria that teachers need to pass a standardized test in order to become a teacher. Assessment needs to be more authentic. The second conclusion would be that teacher candidates need experiences where they are asked to think critically. Oftentimes, portfolios, case studies, and reflections allow candidates to think more critically, but many teacher education programs are still using traditional paper and pencil assessment methods. Slide number 19 is dedicated to lit review tips. First, find models of other lit reviews that are similar to your topic. Second, narrow your focus. The more narrow, the more accurate your answers. And finally, stay organized. Develop an article naming protocol, take notes, and keep articles ordered in a way that makes them easily accessible. In conclusion, I would like to thank you for your time. I hope that this Pecha Kucha was entertaining and informative. It was definitely an interesting experience for me, and I'm glad I gave it a try. If you're interested in creating your own Pecha Kucha, check out YouTube. There are a variety of examples and advice that you can use to have your very own unique presentation experience.